Hey everybody, it's LavenderTowne.
Hello. Hi. Hello. Hello. Don't you ever draw like LavenderTowne. LT, you think you're so big, think you're so tough, and then you come into my town and you play patty cake. You're not art, I'm art. It's me, I'm art. Today we're gonna be destroying LavenderTowne. So she recently put out a video that talks about art advice that you don't follow, which I thought was really interesting. So let's hear what she has to say. Not that I agree with any of it necessarily. I don't agree with any of it, but come on, let's go. I'm doing ass smear now, by the way.
Hey everybody, it's LavenderTowne, and today I wanted to talk to you guys about bad art advice. I've always thought unhelpful advice or advice that pushes you in the wrong direction is worse than no advice at all. So I wanted to tell you guys some things that I used to follow that I feel like didn't help me or actually made me have a harder time.
Alright, so the reason I wanted to make this video is because of the very topic itself. Also, I wanted to completely destroy LavenderTowne, and I don't agree with her on any of these points. But for this one, I feel like this happens way too often. I'm getting a little heated. Where people come in and they just start talking to students like they know everything. And it sucks for the students because the students are just going to be sitting there eating it up. They're going to be hanging on to every word. And it's so dangerous. It's way too dangerous. But you know what's funny is where I see it most is in YouTube comments. They're the worst. LavenderTowne's obviously worse, but I mean like just below that is a YouTube art comment section. So the problem arises when the confidence is there. That's the key. It's these punks. They say, "Oh my God!" Shh. Hush. Hush. Shh. It's these punks, man. They say anything with confidence, and the students and anybody in the comment section just eats it up. All right, I don't necessarily agree with her on this opinion, but she's absolutely right. And honestly, that goes for YouTube as well. Anybody can jump on with the camera, and any idiot can say anything with just enough confidence, and people will listen to them.
Of advice I see experienced artists giving to young artists all the time, and I received this when I was starting out as well. That is basically just practice. This is something that a lot of people say when someone comes up to them and goes, "Oh, how did you become so good at art? How do I become good at art?" And the experienced artist will say, "Oh, you just have to practice, just draw a lot." But I would say that if someone is a brand new beginner, it's not helpful to tell them to just practice. I feel like it's kind of also a little snobby. It's assuming that the person you're talking to is not practicing and that they're just lazy. What they're probably asking is a more complicated question. When we tell somebody to just practice, we're leaving them to try to figure out on their own what that means.
Whoa, wait. Are you saying practice is bad?
I'm not saying that practice is bad.
Oh, okay.
That when someone's asking you a specific question, they really want advice, it's almost definitely not the kind of advice they're looking for. Not necessarily because they're lazy or they lack grit to become an artist, but probably because they just don't know where to start.
Good artist is one thing, good teacher is another. If you get them both inside of each other, that's very rare. There are people that are really good at the skills, but they don't know how to, what's the word? Communicate it. They don't know how to communicate it. How do I feel so stupid? Just because you know how to do a skill doesn't mean you know how to communicate it properly. So what people default to typically is just practice or just do this or just do that. Diving down into a subject is very difficult because you have to take all of the other options that are out there and you have to throw them out and come down to what suits the individual typically.
Drawing is not just like one skill, it's actually a series of different skills, like your skill of observation, and then your ability to do things like perspective are completely separate from your ability to like stylize.
By the way, and that's why making videos about art on YouTube is so difficult, because there is no one way to everything. I mean, I would never say that there's a one way to everything. I would never say, don't you ever do this or that. I mean, that's ridiculous. There's so many different ways to do it.
I know this is a controversy, honestly, in the artist community, but it is the piece of advice that you should learn the rules before you break them. This is one of the most common things I hear levied at cartoonists. A lot of people say that before you learn to stylize anything, you have to completely understand everything about realistic drawing.
All right, there's a lot of things that she's saying that's wrong right now, but I'm just gonna let her finish. All right.
I was basically completely convinced that all of the cartoon drawings that I had done before art school, before my life drawing classes and things like that, that basically was damaging and it wasn't legitimate because I hadn't learned the rules, so-called. When you switch over completely to doing realism and won't allow yourself to do other styles or try to stylize, you can actually lose your ability to stylize it.
Not that I necessarily agree with what she's saying, I'm just gonna kind of illustrate a little bit what she's talking about. After this section, we're gonna destroy her and her art, but just really quick, let me show you. This is an incredible example of how I would go about thinking around of what she's talking about. Right, as you can see, this is a photo, and that's a drawing. Whenever you're drawing from photos, you're being very analytical. You're going to be very stiff, you know? It's going to be really stiff, and it's not going to be pushed. That's why this art from Jin Kim, I believe, Jin Kim or Xiun Kim, I pretty much reference these guys just nonstop, but I feel like this is the perfect example of photo next to pushed stylization.
If you aren't stylizing at all, you're not practicing with exaggerating forms, changing things, leaving details out in like a cartoony way, or just even in an experimental way, you can literally start to forget how to do that, and your art will become stiff and you will be overburdened with information.
And where LT might tell you to never even look at a photo for the rest of your life because she hates photographs so much. I mean, I've seen her. She says this all the time. She hates photographs. Always has. But if you study them side by side, then you get the best of both worlds, just like a Hannah Montana.
I have always thought that you should learn these things in tandem, together. It actually, they reinforce each other. It's symbiotic.
Yeah, I already said that.
I genuinely feel like the year of art school I learned the most was when I had life drawing classes in the same week that I also had illustration classes and classes about animation.
Go look up these sheets, go break them down, study why Jin Kim decided to simplify a section and where the photograph was a little bit more complex. On one hand, you get a structure, and on the other hand, you'll get how to simplify that structure. Boom, slap them together, slick as a sock.
A lot of people say that you should try to copy photographs, like copy down photographs, that will teach you how to draw.
There is no more ways that you can learn. I am the only way that you can learn. Ever. Ever, ever. But for real though.
When people are just copying photos, that's not super helpful, and especially because a lot of people do it by making like a grid. They would have the students copy down like a big grid, and basically you're just filling in all the grid spaces with the lines that you're seeing of the person's face or whatever your photograph is. This is not a great way to learn how to draw, because drawing is really about understanding shapes.
Yeah, absolutely. I could have told you that. I don't necessarily agree with her right now, but there's a point here that I agree with. It's just stupid. Who's drawing with don't draw with grids. Draw with your brain, first of all. And second of all, don't be stupid.
You need to be thinking about the shapes so that you can think about it in 3 dimensions. You need to think about the shape of their nose, not the shadow line that their nose is making, but the actual shape of the nose itself.
In Photoshop, get Photoshop first. You're going to go to Filter, then you're going to go to Noise, Dust and Scratches, and you take that sucker, bring that sucker up to where the details are gone. And the reason I like doing this as opposed to blurring it is because this actually takes groups of light, takes groups of shapes and stuff like that. It groups them together. Now, this is a slightly bad example because it's a really low resolution, but if you take higher resolution things, check the major shapes that it's making, look at what's important, don't look at all the details. That's another way of simplifying your view to a photograph.
And I feel like unless you want to be a professional copy machine, yeah, if you're constructing an image and you have reference photography, you want as many references as possible so that you're using them for like little details and like checking on yourself.
You always need to take your own photo references, right? That's what I always say in my videos. You guys already know this. You know why I say to do it is because you get Acting, let's say you want your character to have a nuance to their emotion. Well, that means the character's gonna have like slight shoulder shrug, or do this, or have a slight head tilt, or whatever. You can do all that in your reference, all right? Whatever is niche to your character, because it's your design, it's your idea, that's gonna come through in the posture, that's gonna come through in the little nuance things, you know? Anyway, I've been in the animation and gaming and film industry for 10 plus years now, but so what do I know, you know?
Next up is the piece of advice that almost ruined my life and made me quit art. This is the worst thing ever, and I don't know why people keep saying it. And that advice is to stop drawing blank. You can put a ton of different things into that blank, some type of art form that's either associated with another country, particularly Asia, if it's associated with feminine or cute or young. Like, it's okay to draw graphic novels as long as they look like Watchmen, but it's not okay to draw graphic novels if they look like Steven Universe or Adventure Time or a kid's book. I genuinely don't understand, as somebody who's gone to art school, why there are students and teachers who still believe that there is no place for learning stylized cartoony art. But it was that kind of stuff that caused me to not draw in my own style or even experiment them for a whole year.
LT, it all comes down to insecurities. These people that are judging you in your art, something happened to them. One, they were jumped by a group of furries, the violent kind. Of course, not all furries are violent, obviously. Or number two, they're stuck teaching while anime blows up and becomes super popular. You know, typically art teachers are of the older school fashioned. So if something as pop culture and something as foreign as anime blows up, then it kind of dinks them off a little bit, you know, rightfully so. That's the natural way of things, that if something gets so big that it's gonna have haters naturally. All right, just look at me. Or Jesus. They killed the guy.
Getting told that there's no value in the art that you're drawing, and that you should never draw that way again, is so extreme and so overboard. And at the end of the day, it's just bad advice.
LT came into the art community looking to play patty cake with me. She was looking to play with the big dogs. Okay, do I agree with anything that she was saying? No. Did she make some good points that I agree with? Yes. The fact is, I don't think I had to destroy much of anything, honestly, because she's kind of destroying herself from the inside out. Honestly, for an artist, she didn't do that much drawing. I didn't actually see that much. She kind of drew, but it was over a sketch in the first place. Why you just draw? Don't draw over it. Really, anybody can just get a camera and just talk away and be confident, and it just complete BS. So be careful of what you listen to and what you watch. While I don't necessarily trust her, I do trust my main man, Jazza. Jazza is an illustrator, a YouTuber. He's on flippin' SKILLSHARE right now. As it turns out, I actually get a lot of money from SKILLSHARE when you click the link below. I didn't think I got any money at all. I would highly recommend going over to Jazza on SKILLSHARE. This guy, not only does he talk about illustrating, he talks about standing out on YouTube. I'm gonna speak from my heart. Before, if you would have asked me if going on YouTube is even a big deal, I would have said, no, it's not a big deal. It's just for all the hippies. But the more that I came into it, I'm not kidding you, I saw my art improve. It made me simplify information, and that really transfers through art and storytelling. And it made me actually think about things before putting them on screen, before presenting them, so I can actually gather a story now and present it in a way that people will understand. And YouTube is a microcosm of that. Making a video is a microcosm of creating your own pitch, creating your own stories, creating whatever. Click that SKILLSHARE and you're gonna get so many free SKILLSHAREs. Alright, anyway, you guys go over to LavenderTowne's channel and you tell her that Ethan Becker sent you. Ethan Becker's art. You're not art.